Research continued in another Mesopotamian city, today known as Tal al-Uhaymer, or Kish of the Sumerian. According to ancient Sumerian sources, this city was the capital of the first post-Diluvian dynasty. It, too, contained traces of the flood. The city of Shudupak in South Mesopotamia, which is today known as Tal Farah, likewise carries apparent traces of the flood. Archaeological studies in this city were headed by Eric Schmidt from the University of Pennsylvania between 1920 and 1930. Traces of a civilization that had flourished in the region between 3000 and 2000 BC were found in these excavations. It appeared from the cuneiform inscriptions that the people of the region were culturally quite advanced. The main point is that a terrible flood was seen to have occurred in this city around 3000 to 2900 BC. According to the account of another archaeologist, Sir Max Mallowan, 4 to 5 meters below the earth, Schmidt had reached a yellow soil layer, formed by flood, made up of a mixture of clay and sand. This layer was closer to the plain level than the tumulus profile, and it could be observed all around the tumulus. The latest place shown to have been affected by the flood is the city of Erech to the south of Shudupak. Today the city is known as Tal al-Warka. In this city, just as in others, a flood layer can be seen. This flood layer is dated between 3000 and 2900 BC, just like the others. Assessment of the evidence obtained from the finished study revealed that the flood area stretches approximately 160 kilometers from east to west and 600 kilometers from north to south. This shows that the flood covered the whole Mesopotamian plain. At the moment of the flood, the rivers Tigris and Euphrates, which run the entire length of Mesopotamia, burst their banks, and a terrible flood resulted when the river waters combined with the heavy rainfall, just as is revealed in the Quran. So we opened the gates of heaven, with water pouring forth, and we caused the earth to gush forth with springs, so the waters met and rose to the extent decreed. When the waters rose, we carried you in the ship. As we have seen, archaeological and historical findings show that Noah's flood was a localized one, just as indicated in the Quran. The view held by commentators on the Old Testament that the flood engulfed the whole world lacks any scientific basis. Moreover, such a global flood does not seem possible. One reason for this is the account of the animals taken on board the ark. According to the proponents of the idea of a global flood, Noah loaded all the living species on earth into the ark, and these were thus preserved from extinction. But how could Noah have accommodated, fed, and kept separate all the animal species he took on board? Moreover, how were animals from different continents brought together? These questions cannot, of course, be answered. In fact, the flood took place in one particular region only. Therefore, the animals taken on board were probably only those living in the region inhabited by Noah's people. We may also assume that the animals on the ark were domesticated, that could be easily taught and protected, and pose no danger to human beings. The Quran informs us that the ark came to rest after the flood on Al-Judi. There is one very important point here. The word Judi is generally regarded as a specific mountain site, whereas the word appears to mean high setting or hill in Arabic. So, according to verses in the Quran, the ark settled on a high place. Judi may not, therefore, be thought of as the name of a specific mountain. In addition, the meaning of the word Judi may also show that the waters had reached a certain height, but not as high as mountaintop level. That is to say that the flood most probably did not engulf the whole earth and all the mountains, as described in the Old Testament, but only covered one particular region. One very interesting fact about Noah's flood is the way it is referred to by very different cultures. The flood is described in Greek legends, in the Shatapatha, Brahmana, and Mahabharata epics of India, in certain legends from Wales, in the Scandinavian Nordic epic Edda, in Lithuanian legends, and in tales of Chinese origin. How could these ancient civilizations, far distant from one another, and with no means of exchanging ideas, have come by such convergent accounts regarding the flood? The answer is clear. All these civilizations must have obtained similar information regarding it. This is clear evidence that they obtained information from a divine source. The flood was a lesson given to various civilizations by many prophets as a deterrent, and thus became part of different cultures. Yet each time, the texts were altered from their original forms. The truth has thus been lost among mystical and mythological ideas. The Quran is the only remaining source that is in substantial agreement with the findings of empirical observation. That is because the Quran was revealed from the presence of God and is under His special protection. It is therefore out of the question for it ever to change and depart from its true essence. God reveals this in a verse. It is we who have sent down the reminder, and we who will preserve it.